Hi guys, are we live? Can you just buzz if I am live? Then we'll start I'm just starting the session slightly early so that I have an opportunity to talk to students. So just let me know if I'm live, then we'll start. Okay guys, I think I'm live. Hi friends, I'm Kale. I'm one of the co-founders of Krakow and an alumna of IIMA Ahmedabad. So in this session is something that was requested by a lot of students about philosophical RC. A lot of students struggle with this kind of RC passage. Mostly over the last few years, RC passages have become more readable, easier to understand, easier to deal with. There has been a conscious shift towards like informative passages and scientific passages. But there is no, there are always a kind of abstract passages or philosophical passages that do crop up from time to time. So one should know how to actually deal with those kind of passages. So in this particular video, in this session, we'll take a look at how to deal with philosophical RCs. Before we start, I'd urge everybody, please share this particular live stream link on your Telegram groups or any WhatsApp groups that you're on, so that more students can see this video. Everybody benefits from more peer interaction, so please make sure that you spread this widely. Also, please like the stream so that more people see that in their recommended videos. So please do that so that more students can view our videos as such, and more students can then participate in the session. So let's get started. Before I begin, I would want to we'll wait till exact it's 5 exactly, so we can start as such. But if you guys have any prior RC issues or something that you issues with RC that you would like to be addressed, please make sure that you put that in the live chat in this particular session, because this session is focused not just on philosophical RC, but I'll also answer general RC kind of queries also in middle. So if you have any queries regarding RC, please put that in live chat and I'll keep checking it from time to time. Please spread this widely so that more students can join us and we can have a good session as such. So let's get started. I'll start off with Kushal, who has already posted a question. So I'll start off with that question. And this is something a lot of students do ask me, that their accuracy has improved after they started doing the active reading as I recommended. So active reading is basically that after reading, you write down the main point of each paragraph, and Kushal says that his accuracy improved after he started doing that, but his attempt rate has gone down. He can do only 2 RCs because of that. See, this is going to happen because you're doing something for the first time. So when you do something for the first few times, what is going to happen is that you're going to take a lot of time to do it. But if you keep on doing it with more and more and more practice, this will become second nature for you. It will take you less time to write down the main point, and your attempt rate is going to go up. So slowly you can go from 2 RCs to 3 RCs and then to 4 RCs. It is going to be a challenge to do all 4 RCs. I expect 4 RCs in CAT 2020 with like reduced time also. I still think that they will put 4 RCs and not 3 RCs, because then the gap between good students and very good students would be easier to make than with just 3 RCs. With 3 RCs, there's a higher chance that even good students will struggle with some of the RCs, and there will be like a clumping of scores. So I expect that there will be 4 RCs, and with 4 RCs, it's going to be a challenge to have people solve all 4 RCs in that short period of time. So it is going to be a challenge to maintain your time as such. But even in that case, what I'd suggest is that work on writing that main point quickly. So essentially, as you read it, you should write down the main point within like 10 seconds of reading the paragraph. Don't write elaborate main points. Don't write like long sentences as such. The main point is just there as a marker for you. It's a marker for you to make sure that you do not lose your way while reading the paragraph. You do not forget what you have just written, what you have just read. So a lot of students, especially when the RC passage is harder to read, what they do is they skim through the paragraph, they go to the second paragraph and they forget what they had read in the first paragraph. So all of these things are being tackled by you writing a simple main point. So this need not be an elaborate point as such, just write a basic main point so that you know what you have to do in such, you know what exactly you have read. So it's basically crystallizing what you have read, what your thought process is into one line. It need not be grammatically right, just write a quick line as such. It just is going to help you articulate what you think the author is trying to say. So don't waste too much time writing down the main point, but it is an important marker for you as such. So with that, let us actually start with the philosophical RC as such. If you have any other queries, please keep posting and I'll keep do my best to answer all of them. Okay, so let's start. Subhashish also asked what to do in VRC in these 50 days. See, if you are starting this at this point of time in 50 days, please focus on RC. RC is the core of the VARC section. If you crack RC, then you will be able to crack the entire section. If you do poorly in it, your entire section will be impacted. So focus on RC and focus entirely on doing well in this particular reading comprehension as such. We have a 50-day crash course starting Monday. So if you guys are starting your preparation now and you need something that makes best use of your time, best use of the remaining 50 days till CAT, please join the course, because it is going to make sure that you do not waste any time going from this point to CAT day. So every day will be packed with work to do, with tasks to do, videos to watch, so that you firstly cover the entire portion, you get adequate practice and you make the best use of time that you have till CAT as such. So let's get started. So philosophical RCs are basically RCs where you are where the author is discussing some philosophical idea. So earlier in the earlier ages, philosophy was essentially like the mother of science. Before we had science like biology, chemistry, physics, mostly philosophers would actually think of logic as such. So logic rather is the mother of all sciences, and logic was generally discussed by philosophers. So philosophy, if you think of it from a modern perspective, seems like something which is not a hard science as such, which is not logical, or which is not exactly like you would say like a science. But that is not the case. Most of philosophy is actually very it is scientific in its thinking. So scientific thought is basically the idea that you do not accept anything without reaching it through evidence and through rational thought. So a lot of philosophy is actually very, very logical. So if you are a logical person, if you are a smart person, even if you are not very good at verbal, you should actually understand philosophy well. So do not get into this thought process that philosophy RC or philosophical RCs are for those who have had a education in arts, or those who have had more exposure to higher reading as such. It's not the case. It is essentially for anybody who is a logical thinker as such. It's accessible to almost everyone. I myself never read philosophical RCs until I started making philosophical passages, until I started making RCs. And I was very surprised by how easily understandable many of the very complicated ideas were, because many of those ideas were essentially very rooted in logic. So if you understand that they are very rooted in logic, that you can express many ideas as logic, you will find it that they are very accessible. You can easily read through a philosophical RC and understand the gist of it and answer questions. So how to read also, we'll continue with what we have learned till now. Make sure that this is one type of RC where you cannot skip active reading. The RC is on the tougher side. It's difficult to read at times, impossible to read at times, but on an average it will be far tougher to read than most RCs are. So if you have an RC like this and if you are going to attempt it, make sure you write down the main point of each paragraph you read, because it is going to be on the harder side. So if it is going to be on the harder side, you need to do active reading. So active reading is basically, if you have paragraphs, for each paragraph you have to write down the main point. So you have to write down MP1, MP2, MP3 and MP4, whatever is the number of paragraphs, and you should after writing down the main point of each paragraph, just take a look at the passage on the whole, see what is the role played by each paragraph as such, what does each paragraph do, does it state the main point, does it lay the context, is this a supporting argument. Look at the roles of each paragraph as such and find out the overall main point of the passage. So if you do this work before you go to the questions, it is going to be easier for you to actually deal with philosophical RCs. A lot of philosophical RCs will have subjective questions. So with scientific RCs, informative RCs, you will get objective questions saying, okay, why did the author say this, or what did the author mean in this particular example. But with philosophical RCs, you are going to get a lot of subjective questions like what is the meaning of this, or what does the author try to signify with this, or why was this example given. So the emphasis is going to be on why, which means that you have to understand the passage in its entirety. So you have to understand the purpose behind the passage, the motivation behind the passage as such. So it's very important you write down the main point of each paragraph and the overall main point before you move to the passage as such. Now, once you do that, once you do the active reading, it becomes easier for you to understand how exactly to answer the questions as such. It will help you eliminate options. It will help you understand what is the core of the passage as such. Now, one thing that a lot of students experience when it comes to philosophical RCs is that unlike other types of RCs, philosophical RCs tend to have very long passages, like 300 word, very long paragraphs as such. 300 long words paragraph, it's very difficult to distill that into one main point as such. Even more because a lot of philosophy authors are notoriously poor when it comes to explaining their point to a lay person. They don't really try hard to distill it to a simple level as such. Because if you take it from a philosophy textbook or something, a real philosophical work, the author kind of assumes that you are at the level where you can understand complex philosophy, which means that they will not try to simplify the work, which means that they won't cut it into neat paragraphs as such. So when they don't do that, it becomes especially hard to write down the main point of each paragraph. So in that case, what I generally do is, even if like a paragraph contains two different points as such, cut the paragraph into ideas. So if you have a very long paragraph, you can say that, okay, I'll artificially create 3 paragraphs, sub-paragraphs out of this. This is 1 sub-paragraph, this is 2 sub-paragraph, this is 3 sub-paragraph, and the main point of this is this, main point of this is this, and in this way I'll artificially cut it down so that I find it easier to read and remember. Because a lot of philosophical RCs have like these run-on paragraphs which have 3-4 points in them. So it's instead of writing one main point in such kind of paragraphs, write down the main idea. If there are 3-4 ideas presented in one paragraph, write down the main idea, 3 main ideas that are present in the paragraph. In case of in case there is a long paragraph as such. Now, often you have to figure out what is the author trying to do with a philosophical RC. So philosophical RCs are generally written by either philosophers or people who are reviewing philosophical works. So people who write about, say, works of Socrates or works of Plato, these guys are reviewing that work or saying that, okay, Socrates posited this, or he said this was his theory, this is what he felt, and this is what the new research says. So essentially most of the time when you get a philosophical RC, you will find authors talking about works of other philosophers. Very rarely would you get the original work of a philosopher, because original works of philosophers are almost very hard to read. So because of that, mostly you will find discussions where somebody is discussing the works of others. And the reason why they are doing that is basically they are exploring this idea and how it applies to them. So essentially somebody will take an idea presented by an author, either like going back to Socrates or even recent times as such, and they will try to show you, okay, this idea is applicable in our current context like this, or something of that sort. So basically most of the paragraphs that are there are an exploration of ideas. So once you understand that, okay, the author is just trying to tell you some idea or trying to discuss something with you, you understand what is the purpose of the passage as such. Now let us, the tone, if you're just trying to explain somebody else's idea, your tone will generally be objective. You won't get too rooted on one side or the other when it comes to passages like this. So the tone is generally objective. I'd also tell students or advise students that don't get disheartened if you don't understand parts of the passage, because the passage is hard to understand. So don't get disheartened if you don't understand some parts of it. Just move on. Try to understand the passage in entirety. So if you understand 80% of the passage but not 20% part of it, don't get disheartened. It's okay. Completely normal that you don't understand a passage like that in entirety. But just focus on the overall 80%. If you understand that, in most cases you will be able to answer questions as such. So now that you understand how to approach a philosophical RC, I have chosen a really nice philosophical RC passage for you. It's a fairly readable passage, and it has a very nice clean idea as such. So I would urge all of you to read this paragraph and write down the main point of the paragraph. I will be checking the live stream, live chat, so that I can see what people are writing, and then I can provide feedback. So I'll take a look at other questions also. Also, please like and share this video so that more students are able to see the are able to access it and are able to see this session. And if more people join in, it would actually add to our learning experience as such. Okay, Harsh asked, planning to do only RC and summary, leaving parajumble and marking guess on odd one out. Is this approach right? Harsh, essentially it depends. It's a big risk to take as such, because it depends on the level of difficulty or competition in that particular year. If the paper is too easy, if the level of difficulty is lesser than previous years, what is going to happen is that most people are going to attempt the entire paper and you are going to struggle because you have left out a decent chunk of it. So when you take a risk like that, it is going to actually hamper your cases if the paper is easy. On the other hand, if you are like exceptional in RC and the paper is very difficult, this strategy might work as such, but it's a big chance to take, and each attempt is 1 year. So why would you take a chance like that when you have time in hand now to actually practice and prepare for parajumbles and odd one out? So don't go for a strategy like that, because if the paper is actually easy, you would find that most people are attempting all questions and getting a very high cutoff as such, and then you will struggle. So don't leave it to chance like that. Prepare for all topics. Do not leave parajumbles and odd one out. Prasun Kumar Parihar asks, okay, I would suggest, instead of Plato, Aristotle and Socrates, what I would suggest is read other people who have commented on their works. I have personally tried to read their works and it is very, very difficult, and I feel that the payoff is not very good. For example, if you spend an hour, you will benefit very slightly, but if you spend an hour reading other people's interpretation of their works, it is much better. I would also suggest John Locke, because he is a very good writer. Any of the modern American philosophers are good writers of philosophy as such, because they write in clearer English as such. They are not, even like Bertrand Russell is a very good writer, because there is not a whole lot of flowery language. It's easy to grasp, it's easy to follow as such. Gauri asked, sectional tests, are they in the new pattern? They are in the new pattern. We have changed all the mocks and the sectional tests to new pattern. You can take them. Ashutosh asked, can we skip some part in between while reading the passage? Is there any trick? I would not suggest doing that. See, essentially, there is, if you do that, what will happen is that you might not get the confidence of marking the correct answer as such. See, when you read the passage, essentially what I want you to do is read the passage once, read it well, write down exactly what is the main point of each paragraph, so that you don't have to go back to the passage. Then you should directly just look at the questions, look at the options and look at your paragraph main points. You should not go back to the passage again. Rereading the passage is mostly the biggest drain on time. It's not the writing of the main point as such. Writing of main point, essentially it should take you like 40 seconds more or 1 minute more. But if you have to reread the passage, firstly it will like take 3-4 minutes extra for you to reread parts of the passage, and you will also lose the flow as such. So I would not really recommend doing something like that. Okay, Harsh asked that I always go wrong on choosing the title of the passage. Please put some light on it. See, understanding how to put the title of the passage, firstly you have to go through with the steps before you come to the title of the passage. So firstly, understand the main point of each paragraph, overall main point. Understand the purpose of the passage. Now all of these are essentially subjective answers, that if you understand all of these points, you understand what the author is trying to do through the passage. So when you understand, is the author trying to explain something, is he trying to persuade you or influence you for holding a particular opinion. So once you understand what the author is trying to do through the passage, what is the point he tries to make, you can then define the scope of the passage. So scope of the passage basically means that if you think of it like, think of it as if I am discussing the history of the last Mughals as such. So the life of the last Mughal, if I was discussing that, the scope of the passage is a subset of the entire Mughal period. It's a subset of the later Mughals also. It is a subset of India in the 1800s. It's a subset of a lot of things. So you have to understand that this is the set limitations. Okay. Now if I find something which is too general, or the set is much bigger than the scope that is defined by the passage, I should say that no, this is too broad as such. I should go with something which is not as broad. Similarly, if it is too narrow, focusing only on one part of the passage as such, you should say that the scope is not right. The scope should be more widely defined as the last Mughal's life as such. So you should also think of it from a perspective of almost like sets and subsets. Identify what is the scope of your passage, what is bigger than your scope of your passage, what is lesser than the scope of your passage, and using that you can eliminate options to find the right title. Okay, please guys write down the paragraph summary so that I can read the paragraph summaries that some guys have written, so that I can give you some feedback on whether or not you have gotten the main point of the paragraph. Jinay asks, is it possible to crack CAT starting now? It's always possible. It depends on how much time you are ready to put, whether you are ready to put in the hard work. If you are ready to put in the hard work, it is definitely possible. So do not lose hope. If you can work hard for the remaining 50 days, you should be able to crack CAT. Now I'll check some of the summary. Okay, I don't think this is refreshing as such. Okay, let me see. A lot of summaries actually, let me see that. Okay, Kushal says scientists need to make leap into the unknown. It's partly right, but you are leaving some parts of it. When do they need to make the leap into the unknown? When there is a major paradigm shift and where when there's a scientific revolution afoot, they need to make a leap into the unknown as such. So mostly there, the slightly incomplete as such. Just having one paragraph for. This is not, Muskan, this is not the only paragraph. This is the first paragraph. I'll be showing you other paragraphs as such. So this is the first paragraph. Of this, try to write down the main point so that I can move on to the next paragraph. It is Sakshi says that assumptions made for past scientific are not based on concrete ideas. Yeah, you're focusing on the details, Sakshi, over here. Rather than focusing on the details, take a bigger look at what is the overall point being made there. It's not about assumptions, or it's not about specific scientific ideas, but what the author is, it's like the context being set for something else as such. So take a look at the larger point and not the details of this particular paragraph. Any famous theory starts from an idea that seems to be less acceptable at first. No, Prasun, you have, this is a distortion of what is given in the paragraph. That is not about any famous theory, or not about how famous theories are less acceptable. This is more about how do you actually go from something which you have known and your entire thought process has been essentially about this particular theory, and how do you go from here to a completely new way of thinking as such. So it's about a leap from one paradigm to another. So I'll just tell you the main point of this paragraph. A lot of people have written good points, almost there, very close to this. Yeah, Aman has it almost completely. In times of uncertainty, when most scientific theories are being questioned, scientists need to make a leap into unknown. Yeah, that is completely right. So basically, what is the paragraph saying? The paragraph is saying that when there are moments of scientific revolution, everything that you assume to be true, every scientific theory, every scientific fact comes into question, and your basically a paradigm is shift. There's a paradigm shift as such. What is a paradigm shift? Basically, the model on which all of the theories are essentially built on, when that model starts to crumble, there is a paradigm shift, and then basically you cannot reason your way out of there. You have to take a leap of uncertainty. There's like great uncertainty, and you have to take a leap into unknown. So basically this is talking about that when scientific paradigms crumble or when they break down, scientists need to make a leap into the unknown, and it basically asks the question, how can the scientists do that? Okay, so basically at times when scientific paradigms break down, scientists need to make a leap into the unknown. So the key point is, how do you do that? So the key point is like when you end with a question like but how, you can understand that the rest of the paragraph is going to explain how they can do that. So whenever you see that the first paragraph ends with like a question, the rest of the passage is going to explain that, okay, how they can actually do this. So this essentially sets the context, and then the next, this asks or poses a question, and the remaining paragraphs will try to answer that question. So let's take a look at the next paragraph. Please try to write down your main points so that I can see them and give you feedback. Also, please keep liking the stream so that we reach more people. I'll try to answer some of the questions as such. Yeah. I know a lot of students actually struggle with reading comprehension, so I'd like to highlight the fact that we give out one free reading comprehension in daily target every single day. So every single day, if you are trying to improve in reading comprehension, I would suggest that please take the reading comprehension practice that we are giving for free in daily target every day. So please start taking daily targets from now till CAT, so that you will get more practice with reading comprehension. Also, if you guys are interested in taking a free mock, we have updated our free mocks into the latest pattern, so please take the free mocks. If you are starting now, I would suggest start with the free mock so that you have an idea of exactly what work lies ahead of you, what work you need to put in to actually get to the point of cracking CAT on November 29th. So please make sure that you go and visit you take CAT daily targets and see the free mock as such. We have 3 free mocks, so if you guys are looking to start your preparation, I would suggest that you start from there. Okay. Ben is asking where can we get free RC. So yeah, you can get free RCs from our CAT daily target. Just go to our website and see CAT daily target. You will get so daily target has 1 free RC, 1 LR, and 5 quant questions every single day and for free. So you can get your daily practice of almost everything with that. Okay. So let's if anybody has put any more questions, I'll try to see that. Okay. Abhimanyu is asking, I've been reading novels for but okay, a lot of students actually have this problem where they kind of lose their chain of thought, are not able to keep their focus as such, which is why actually I say that write down the main point, because nothing helps you focus rather than if you have that immediate task of writing down the main point, you know that you have to just read this, write down the main point, read this, write down the main point. if instead you were asked that you have to read 5 paragraphs, you tend to space out in the middle. So if you are writing down the main point, it becomes like you're breaking down the task into smaller parts which are easier to do. So try doing that so that you can be better at keeping your focus during RCs as such. How difficult was DashCat 6? I think DashCat 6 was of the same CAT level. I'm not sure of the general section wise difficulty. I think one of the we generally put different levels of sections. Some sections are difficult, some sections are moderate difficulty. So I'm not sure of that, but just take a look at the general pattern where the cutoffs lie. That will give you an idea of the difficulty as such. How many RCs should one attempt in CAT? See, Saurav, I would say that you have to aim at attempting, I expect 4 RCs in this particular CAT, and I would suggest that you try or aim to crack answer all 4 RCs. I don't think you can leave any RC at this point of time. It's basically if you aim to hit 4 RCs, even if you correctly answer 3 RCs, that is good. But if you start off with 3 RCs and if you go into the test thinking I have to only answer 3 RCs, if the test is actually easy, you will answer 3 RCs, everybody else will answer 4 RCs, and then you will not clear the cutoff. So always think going in that I'm going to answer all the RCs. Okay, Suraj is saying that Suraj, you are slightly so basically I would suggest in this kind of this that see, is there one single main point or are there 2 main points over here? I would say that there are 2 points over here and there are 2 distinct points over here. So when you have something like this, try to write down 2 points. Just because the author has put them together in one paragraph doesn't mean that it has only one idea as such. I feel that there are 2 ideas over here. So just try to write down both of this. Kush saying that his scores are decreasing in VARC after pattern change. I've heard this from so many students where they see that their attempt rate has gone down, their accuracy is out of this. See, the pattern change is affecting all students negatively. A lot of students are finding it difficult to adapt to the new pattern. The only thing I can suggest is that keep taking more mocks so that you adjust to the new pattern better than others. Essentially, it's not that you have to score 100%, right? You have to just outscore others. So if everybody is struggling, you just have to adapt to the new situation better to actually outperform. So just keep giving more RCs, giving more mocks in the new pattern so that you adapt to the new pattern better than your peer group as such. Okay, so Jatin says examples of scientists and philosophers are given who explain how they make the leap into the unknown by giving examples of emotions as to how they are not mere passive states. Yeah, this is right now the author is not really going into scientists and how it applies to the question yet. He is setting up the premise for that. But this is not about how scientists use the emotions yet. This is only about Sartre's thesis as such. So essentially you can see that this is like a layer. The first, this is the author says that how do we answer, how do the scientists make the leap? So Bas van Fraassen tries to answer that and he extends the idea of Sartre to do that. Now Sartre's actual work is given and what I expect is that in the next paragraph Fraassen's work will be given where he extends this idea as such. So this paragraph mostly is about Sartre's work. So it's not about how do scientists make the leap because that idea is not yet tied as such. So if you see, the question was asked, how do scientists make the leap? Now the author says that this Bas van Fraassen's work tries to answer it and Bas van Fraassen basically extends the idea of Sartre. So we are over here as such. And this guy's work is now being talked about. So this is not yet directly related to our first question, but we are going to come to it in the next paragraphs as such. So first try to write down what is Sartre's work, what is he actually trying to say through the through those paragraphs as such. Okay. Yeah, Vikash says that he was dissatisfied with the major mid 20th century theories about emotions. This is like such a small part of that paragraph. Look at the actual gist of it. His work is actually in focus rather than the fact that he was dissatisfied with other people's work. So he was dissatisfied with the other people's work. So he posited himself. He said something himself. He made his own theory. So that theory is more important than. Am I? Am I live again? No. Am I live again? Okay, yeah, I'm live now. Okay, I think just a minute, let me restart this. Sorry guys, I lost connection. I think it just stopped working. I'm not sure. Okay, can see the live chat. Sorry, I just lost connection, and I think some part of what I said in the end was cut. So let me just try to. Am I live now? Yeah. Yeah. I can't see the live chat yet. Okay, live chat. Yep. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. So it's working again. So I was telling you what is the main point of this paragraph. So the main point of this paragraph is basically the author says that how do we answer that question. So BVF essentially tries to answer that question by extending Sartre's idea. So Sartre said that we are not really passively acted on by emotions, we bring out the emotions, and we do that whenever we reach an impasse, we kind of bring out our emotions to find out a solution. So the anger you feel is basically intentional. You feel that so that you can arrive at a solution as such. So emotions have a purpose and are harnessed by us to find a way out of an impasse, or to find a solution for an impasse. Okay, and I guess. So if you identified Sartre's meaning that emotions are not passive, you are mostly there. But just you have to also see the overall picture of why they are saying that. So the point of the fact that paths before us become difficult, this is kind of going back to the fact that when the scientific world is in turmoil, so something like that is also given in the previous paragraph. So now you should get a hint of what the author is trying to construct through this. So he's basically saying that when you have an emotional, when you are in turmoil, when the usual doesn't work anymore, when you can't move forward, you bring or you harness your emotions to essentially find a solution for the impasse as such. So that is the main point of this particular paragraph. Let's take a look at the next paragraph so that it will make more sense in total as such. So let's take a look. Please read the following paragraph and try to write the main point of it. Okay. So I'm sorry I got disconnected. So if any one of you was wondering what happened, I got disconnected. I had to restart this as such, stream as such. So I'll try to answer if anybody has put any queries. While you guys write down the main point, I'll try to answer some of the queries. Okay. Yeah, I think most of you were wondering why it was not live. Author tries to explain the situation with the help of an example, how emotions were believed to be something else, but then not really. See, Aradhya, you have to just remember that what was the original question posed, and with that you have to look at this new information in that light. So this is not about the theory of emotions, but rather how this theory of emotions, or how Sartre's way of looking at emotions, will help us understand how the scientists can make the leap to a new paradigm. Believe that, Harpreet, you are halfway there, that Sartre's belief that emotions are not mere passive states and can help us find solutions in the unknown. Yes. And you have to also say that you can use them, you can bring them out at will as such. It's not something that just passively happens, that you can bring them out, and they are there, they are intentional as such. So Harpreet, you are almost like 90% there. And I think most of you have understood this particular paragraph. Prabhanjan said this. Yeah, and he's not proving it with Prabhanjan. He's not proving it with an example, but he's giving that example to tell you how emotions essentially act. They are active agents. You bring them out, and they act, or they are useful basically to find out a solution as such. So it's not an example to prove, but rather an example to like explain how they work. Mitesh asked, will the sequence of sections change? Would it be VIRC, DILR, then Quant? Nobody really knows. We'll know once the online tutorial comes out, but we should expect that it has been there for some time. So my expectation is that they would not tinker with it, but we really don't know. We'll know only once the actual tutorial comes out in October. Again, when that will come out in October will not really, we don't know that yet. Okay, so let's if anybody has written the this. Okay, so what is the, if just try to read this particular paragraph and try to see what is the author trying to say through this as such. Again, this paragraph I would actually split it up into two parts. This, I would say that this part is one point and this part is another point. Okay, so if you can think of them as two separate parts or two separate paragraphs, it might actually help you arrive at the points of each paragraph. Okay, so the first part of it, basically what is the author trying to say with the example of sour grapes, and what is the world that Sartre was referring to. See, basically this is what the author basically, he said that emotions are basically have an intention, they have a purpose. You bring them out so that you can reach at a solution. Now he has to explain how can emotions actually help you reach at a solution or find a way out of an impasse. So he has to explain that. So this is basically how he explains. The author basically says that your emotions are going to affect your worldview. So they are like, they transform your worldview, and this is your view of subjective experience. So basically how you look at the world, and rather not the world itself. So you're not changing the physical reality of the world, but you're changing your perception of it or your interaction with it. So essentially, if there's like world over here and your perception or your outlook of the world, perception of the world. So emotions are not going to change the physical reality or the physical world as such. They won't act on this part, but emotions are going to change this part. And once emotions change that part, you are going to see, essentially they can transform that part like magic. So basically how you view the world can change, and once how you view the world changes, for you the world has changed as such. So though you can't change, like though emotions don't change the physical world as such, if they can transform how you view the world, and once you change how you view the world, essentially it will give you a solution of how to move forward as such. Now this is one part which is about the sour grapes also. The sour grapes is basically saying that just saying that okay, the grapes are sour envy does not actually change the grapes. They might actually be sweet as such, but essentially it changes how you view them. Earlier you were viewing them with desire, you wanted to eat the grapes, but now because your emotions have changed your worldview, they have affected how you see them, you no longer want them, and because of that how you act, what you believe, what you want has changed. So essentially you can't transform, your emotions can't transform the physical world, but they can transform you, and when you get transformed, your interactions with the world change, and how you work with the world changes as such. So essentially this changes like your worldview, but not the world itself. Now this is an important point. Now the second part is basically about how you bring out emotions as such. So this is actually slightly different from the first part of the paragraph. Here the author is saying that you can actually bring out the emotions by physical actions. So if you clench your fists, you can essentially bring out the emotion of anger. If you weep, you can bring out the emotion of sadness. Now this is important to say because the author is saying that you can use emotions, you can harness emotions to find a solution to an impasse. How do you do that? See, basically emotions are going to change how you view the world, your perception of the world. Even if it doesn't change the physical reality, it is going to change you. Now the author is saying that it's not passive, it is in your control for you to actually bring out that emotion. So how do you actually bring out that emotion? You can actually, like, physical acts can help you bring out that emotion. You clench your fists, you feel anger, you weep, you feel sadness. So essentially it's saying that, okay, you can bring out a particular emotion, and that emotion can help transform you or the way you view the world, and that will help you find a solution to an impasse as such. So that is the main point of this particular paragraph. Let's take a look at the next paragraph. So try to write down the main point of this paragraph. I'll try to see the summaries that have been written till now. Emotions bring a change in mindset, and we actively try to reach for a solution. Your first part is right. Emotions bring a change in mindset, and emotions can be brought out by physical actions. If the world is subjective to our experience, emotion help us transform world according to us, though not changing physically. Yep, right. Sartre thought physical actions produce such emotions. Exactly right, Sauvik, you're pretty correct. Your main point is on the this as such. Jatin says, Sartre says the world we live in is a subjective experience. Emotion can do wonders by changing our attitude, hopes, desires, and gives example. He adds that physical actions help produce emotions. Yeah, I think a lot of people have gotten the gist of this perfectly well. This is like, I think if you once you split this as that this is first part, this is second part, it becomes easier to distill it into a clear main point as such. If you see it as the longer paragraph, it's difficult to say what is the main point, because you try to approximate to something in the middle of them, when in fact they are two different ideas. So always try to break down, if you see that there are two different ideas, break down the paragraph and say that this is one idea, this is the other idea. And once you did that, the summaries are like completely on point as such. So let's see if anybody has gotten any main points of the new paragraph. If anybody has put any query, I'll try to see the queries also, any other general queries. In Krakow 7 questions are on VA. How much time should one invest out of 40 minutes? See, basically what I would suggest is that try to keep the RC attempts, one RC at 8 minutes, and the remaining 7 questions for the remaining 8 minutes. That's kind of difficult, but if you see, even in the earlier format, you had 10 questions and 11 to 12 minutes to do that. So it's always going to be very, very difficult to fit the VARC this. So you have to average around a minute per VA question as such. So just think of it that you have 7 questions and 8 minutes to do that. Okay, Mohit says, in faltering paradigm, the scientists need to change the way they view the world by changing themselves. They can then accept new ideas. Exactly right, Mohit, you are on point, completely on point there. Bantai says, I am always having 5 correct and 5 wrong in VARC. How to improve it? So basically just focus on improving your accuracy as such. See, essentially you have to make sure that you write down the main point each time, so that you know exactly where you went wrong. So if you went wrong in understanding a paragraph, you can then work on that. But if you never write down the main point, you don't have any idea of what went wrong in your passages, you can take RC after RC without improving. So just focus on accuracy and focus on essentially trying to get your main points down, your overall subjective questions right, and then focus on answering the questions. This approach helps you have better accuracy. 50% accuracy is not good enough to crack CAT, because 50% accuracy is it's not an efficient way to use your time. Your time should be used in such a way that once you read the RC, once you read the passage, you should be able to answer the questions with fairly good accuracy, like 80% plus accuracy. So now let us, any other charts are there? Yeah, Kushal, you are right. It's not that they transform themselves, they should transform themselves, and once they transform themselves, they'll be able to accept radical new ideas. Okay, so basically the main point of this paragraph is that this is where Frazen comes back. So Frazen basically went off and said that, okay, how do I answer this question? I'll answer this question by extending Sartre's work. So Sartre said that we had to do this. So I have to extend this logic, and I extend this logic by saying that like Sartre said that your emotions, you can harness them to change yourself, transform your worldview, and that will actually change by transforming yourself. You can find a way out of an impasse. Similarly, Van Frazen says that scientists need to use their emotions, harness their emotions, and they need to transform how they think and transform themselves. Once they transform themselves, they can actually move out of this impasse of when they are in a paradigm shift, they can move out of this impasse and embrace new radical ideas. So essentially here Van Frazen comes out and says that scientists should harness their emotions. So this is Van Frazen should harness their emotions to transform themselves and once they transform themselves, they can they can embrace new radical ideas. After transforming themselves, they can embrace new radical ideas. Okay, so now that we have understood each paragraph, this is the end of the passage as such. So now that we have understood each paragraph, I want you guys to revisit your main points and try to see what is the overall main point as such. It's pretty clear as such. If you understood each paragraph, it should be very easy for you to answer this question, what is the overall main point. But if you have faltered in any of the particular steps, it would be difficult for you to answer. So try to formulate the overall main point, and then we'll go to the questions as such. So try to write down the overall main point of the passage. So just take a look at each of the main points you have written till now and try to find out the overall main point. Also, please like this stream. If it reaches more students, it will help more students, and if more students participate in this discussion, everybody wins. Everybody can improve when we see if more students are able to join the stream. So please like the stream. Okay. Emotion should be used by scientists to change their perception. As well, yeah, Harpreet, you're right. They should use this, and Prince, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Raghuvi says, Van Frazen says that scientists draw on their emotions while dealing with new stuff. He adds that they need to change the way they should transform themselves. They should transform themselves so that they can embrace new ideas. Also guys, make sure that while you're doing this with this process, try to do it faster and faster each time. If you work on the speed aspect, you will find that you are doing it in a less, you're not adding a whole lot of time to write down the main point. So with each practice, try to write it faster. Okay, so thank you so much, and once you have seen the, I'll show the RC again, somebody asked for that. So this is where the author says that when scientific paradigm breaks down, scientists need to make a leap into the unknown. But how do you do that? The author says that BVF tries to, Bas Van Frazen, I'll just call him BVF, is trying to answer that question in his work, and he draws on Sartre's work to answer that. Sartre basically said that emotions are intentional, they are purposeful, and they help you harness a particular, you harness the emotion on purpose with the intention of finding a way or solution out of an impasse. Now how do you do that? See, emotions basically transform you. They might not change the physical reality, but they transform you, and that is where the solution lies. And you can actually beckon emotions. If you do physical actions, you can actually draw out emotions from yourself. Now Van Frazen basically says that this is basically how scientists can actually make the leap. You should transform yourself, you should use your emotions to transform yourself, and once you transform yourself, you will be able to embrace new ideas, radically new, different new ideas as such. Okay, so that is the each main point of each of the paragraphs. So I'd say the overall main point is basically that basically it asks the question of how scientists can make the leap into when there is a scientific paradigm shift. How do scientists leave the old paradigm and move to the new paradigm? And they can do that by harnessing their emotions. So essentially at times of scientific revolution, this is basically a short way of saying there is a paradigm shift. At times of scientific revolution, scientists should harness their emotions so that should harness their emotions to transform themselves and their worldview and their outlook as such. And with this transformation, they can actually move forward and embrace new ideas, radical new ideas at this. With this transformation, they can move forward and embrace new, radically new ideas as such. Okay, so most of you have gotten, I think, the Jatin, you have gotten it almost there, but you need to actually explain what the scientist should do, not just that it is answering this question. You have to say how it is answering the question also. If a question on main point comes, the detail also matters over there. Harpreet, it's not just that emotions are pivotal. How to use them is also important. You have to put that in the main point as such. Okay, so now that we have understood the paragraph and each paragraph and the passage, let's take a look at the first question. So can you try to answer this particular question? If you have understood the passage perfectly till now, this should be easy to answer. So once you actually put in the hard work of understanding the passage, the questions become easy to answer. If you have not put in the hard work to understand the passage, then you actually struggle with the questions. So let's take a look at the question. So consider the following, consider the question. Van Fraassen drew on Sartre's idea to show what? So show that emotions help scientists change their worldview so that they can embrace new ideas during times of scientific revolution. Show that emotions are not passive states but deliberate acts through which scientists can deal with turmoil and fundamentally change the scientific world. Show that emotions are key to bringing about scientific revolutions as scientists need them to make the leap from flawed old models to correct new ideas. Show that scientists who can handle their emotions are the ones who can revolutionize the scientific world. Also a hands-on experience of a question with close options. So please try to answer this. A lot of C's, a lot of A's. I'll let a few more people answer this before giving out the answer. Okay, I think enough people have answered the question. Most of you are right. The answer is option A. Basically, he's trying to, the key point is that you should, the author is saying that you have scientists, when there's a scientific revolution, you have to harness your emotions so that you transform yourself. And once you transform yourself, you can make that leap from the old paradigm to a new one. So this is, you can embrace new ideas once you actually transform yourself. Option B is close, but the point is that he doesn't draw out on the idea to show that emotions are not passive states. That is not the point at all. The point is that basically emotions help you out of an impasse. That is the important point, not that they are not passive as such, that they are intentional. So this is where basically there's a distortion. Sartre does say that they are not passive states, but that is not the part where Van Fraassen actually extends the idea. So this part is not the key part that he extends on. He extends on the fact that emotions help you go forward, move forward when there is a when you can't, you find something is not working, emotions will show you the way forward. So that is the part he focuses on, not this part. So option B is incorrect because of that. Option C is that emotions are key to bringing about the scientific revolution. So a lot of people actually said C, but the part which has there's basically a distortion. So they are not key to bringing about scientific revolution. I know Harpreet also said that, but the point is that it's not about that these bring out scientific revolution, but rather when there is a scientific revolution, you need your emotions to actually deal with it. You need your emotions so that you can find a way forward. So if your old paradigm model has broken down because it is not working anymore, you are in the midst of a scientific revolution. To go from the old to the new, that is where you need emotions, but emotions are not going to help you find a new breakthrough as such. So this is a clear distortion of what is given in the passage. So option C can be eliminated. Show that scientists who can handle their emotions are the ones who can revolutionize the scientific world. Again, not really what the author says. Something that has not been implied in the passage at all. It's not about okay, if you are able to handle the emotions, you are a better scientist. If you are not able to handle, you are a poorer scientist. That's not the case at all. So option D is a clear no as such. So a lot of students got it right. So I'm very happy that many students understood this and got this right. So let's take a look at the next question. I hope all of you get this right also. So please take a look at this question. Okay. Also guys, please like the stream so that it reaches more students. If you are just starting your preparation now, please go and check out our 50-day crash course. Our 50-day crash course will help you make the best use of time from now to CAT. There are 50 days left, so we have made sure that we complete all the things that are required. We cover the entire syllabus and give you adequate practice. So please do check out that course. Also, please, if you are looking for free content, we have free CAT daily targets. The CAT daily targets contain a 1 RC every day, 1 DI or LR set, and 5 quant questions. They are going to help you get the practice needed that you daily practice needed to crack CAT. So if you are looking for free content, please check out our daily target. Also, we have 3 free mocks. So if you are starting out, you don't know where to actually see the mock in the new pattern, please check out our free mocks. So I hope a lot of students, I see a lot of C's, answer C. Yeah, C is the right answer. Yeah, so C is correct, and I'm very happy most of you have gotten this right. I had put a option B hoping that somebody would actually get trapped in it. But I'm very happy that nobody fell for that trap. So this is something that I have seen a lot of students who struggle with philosophical RC fall for, where they feel that okay, I didn't understand the RC or I didn't understand a particular part of it, so I will go for something where it appears high level, that okay, this is a metaphor for something bigger than that. So I'm very happy you didn't fall for that. B is a very, very clearly wrong option. And if you didn't understand why he gave the sour grapes example, you might superficially think okay, that was a metaphor for something and I didn't understand, but that was not the case at all. So I am very happy that nobody fell for B. Let us discuss the other ones also. So why does he actually give the sour grapes example? So he gives the sour grapes example to basically show that your emotions can change or transform you, and it can once you are changed, though your emotions can't change the physical reality, so you can't with your emotions change the taste of the grapes. You can change yourself, you can change your own worldview or your own outlook. So you can change the yourself, and you can transform yourself so that you no longer want those grapes. So it's about the fact that emotions can change or transform you. Your though they can't change the physical reality, they can change your worldview of it or your perception of the reality. So option C is the right answer for that. Option A is that you can make the world more bearable by changing how we perceive it, but that's not the point of the example, right? It's not about making the world more bearable, it's about how emotions actually act on us. So option A misses that part as such. Option B, as I said, was a trap. Do not fall for traps like this. Just because you don't understand some part of it, do not feel that it's like it's a more higher level reasoning than you can that you have not understood. Most things are simple, so don't fall for traps like this. Option D is physical actions like acts of trying to reach for the grapes can help produce emotions that change our worldview. Then this has not been implied. That's also something that was created by the fact that those 2 points were put together. So because those 2 points were put together, you can say that okay, grapes, and then he talks about physical actions. Maybe they are connected, but they are not. So the point of the grapes was that you can actually change how you look at things. Though you can't change physical reality, you can change how you look at things. You can change your outlook, and from that you can move forward. So option D is also not the right answer. The right answer is option C. I put only 2 questions in this because I wanted to have a 1 hour stream. Now I see that most of you have answered the question correctly. Some people are still wondering about option A. See, option A, you have to also see that why does he give that example? Does he give that example to tell that okay, we can make the world a more bearable place? So when would he do that? See, he can do that if the rest of the passage was about how we can make the world a better place or how we can be more happy. So if we can, if the entire passage was about how can we be more happy in life, and then that example was given, then yes, the example would be to signify that how we can make the world a better, more bearable place. But that was not the rest of the passage. The rest of the passage was about how emotions can help scientists make that leap. So clearly option A does not fit. So each example would have certain reason for being put. This does not fit with the rest of the passage as such. Option A is not the reason why he would put that, because the rest of the passage has a completely different purpose as such. So that's why you can eliminate option A. Okay, so I hope you guys are benefiting from this. Please like our stream if this helped you, and we'll try to do more of these. Also give us suggestions of what other kind of RCs you'd like us to cover. Philosophical RC was what was suggested last time, so we did this. Also suggest anything else that you would like to cover, and we'll try to do more of these streams. Kushal asked, what emotions should we harness in the last 50 days to CAT? You should harness, show basic, think of it as a test of your character. If you feel that this is a challenge and you have to show a lot of character by like really working hard, you will feel very good about it later. And if you put in a lot of hard work over the next 50 days, there's a lot of uncertainty on CAT day as such. It's something that it's going to distill down your entire years of hard work on one particular day. But you should at least feel good about the fact that you worked hard. So make it as a test of your character, that I can really take this as a challenge and I'll work hard. And if you do that, you will get a lot of confidence on CAT day as such. I've always felt that if I go in knowing that I have done everything I could, I feel more relaxed on exam day rather than when I feel that I could have done more. So don't have that regret that I could have done more. Work on it now, put in the hard work, and you'll feel much better about yourself on CAT day. So that's basically what you can harness for your this as such. Okay, I'll try to do more economic RCs, historical RCs. I'll try to do that in the next this. And parajumbles and parasummary, all of these, I'll try to do more of that. Okay, thank you for your suggestions. Please also keep on giving comments also what you would like to do. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure to help you with this RC. Thank you so much.